Hello, everyone, and welcome to another rousing adventure in Comic Book Late Night. I'm Captain Logan, and here is my wonderful, illustrious co-host, the Curious Lo.
Hello, everybody.
Tonight, as always, Lo and I are going to count down our favorite 3 issues from last week, and just like last week, I am almost positive that 2 of my top 3 books are going to be on Lo's list, although I don't know that they'll fall exactly where mine fall. So we'll see if that happens, and I like it when that happens, Lo, because then I feel kind of validated in spending a little bit more time talking about a single issue.
Yeah. I mean, last week it worked out really well because we had 2 of the 3 that were the same. And I think you're right. I think 2 of the 3 will be the same this week too.
They almost have to be.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, we don't discuss beforehand. We don't know what the other person's going to talk about. So
nope, not at all. And it's cool that our stuff lines up at all, because when we first started talking about doing the show, I kind of thought we would have 2 nearly opposite pull lists. Because when you were, and can you believe it's been 15 weeks now?
Oh, no, that's crazy. And it's been more than 15
episodes. We even had 2 weeks where I took off and we didn't have a show. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been crazy we've been going this long. And to think just a little over a year ago, I had never walked into a comic shop before. Now here I am acting like I know things. or more likely, I don't act like I know things and we learn stuff together.
I was going to say, more often it's you going, okay, so this seems stupid. Why do comics do this? And then I go, first of all, that is stupid. So if you are watching live, thanks so much for being here. Good to see you, or good to be seen by you. And Lo and I love it when folks are here to watch us, because we have high levels of vanity, and we need people to watch us. It's very important. And we're going to be doing some Q&A at the end. We'll have an open forum. We'll talk for 10 or 15 minutes about anything you'd like to have us discuss within reason about superheroes and comics and the pop culture scene, that kind of stuff. Lo, let's go ahead and just get right into it, shall we?
All right, let's do it.
3 to 1. Lo, what was your 3rd favorite issue that came out last week?
My 3rd, and this was sort of a surprise to me because I have never read anything of this character before. I'm sort of kind of aware of them, but because of Suicide Squad, I decided to pick up Harley Quinn #1, and I kind of loved it.
Wow. Cool.
Maybe it's just because you guys know me and I like my my badass females. I'm all about the kicking butt and taking names if you're a girl. Now, granted, she a little crazy, so she's not exactly a hero. So that does sort of break the mold a little bit. But I kind of liked it, and I don't know if you guys will have also sort of expected this from me, but hot dogs that make zombies. I'm totally okay with weird stuff like that. I love weird off-the-wall stuff. I thought this was very fun. And again, I'm not very familiar with the character, so maybe some of you are like, oh my gosh, Lo, why? This is the worst Harley Quinn thing ever. Please tell me what I should be reading, because I'm very intrigued by her now and I want to read some more. So yeah, it's just the first issue. Could go anywhere from here. As we know, first issues don't necessarily make the book, but I quite enjoyed this, and it was more so just that I really liked that since this was a Rebirth #1, and most of Rebirth has not been doing what I hoped it would do in giving me a place to jump in and kind of get to know a character for the first time. This gave me a lot of backstory, and I found that very, I don't know like if endearing is the right word, but I was like, oh yes, like I can see some backstory and get like a definitive jumping off point for this character. As somebody who is sort of new to comics and has never read this character before. So I quite enjoyed it. Maybe you won't if you're super into the character. I don't know. Tell us in the comments. What about you, Cap?
You went really street 90s there. I don't know.
What?
What? The chat is throwing its hands up in frustration right now. So Curious Lo, again, not being real familiar with Harley Quinn, I imagine is liking that book more than most fans of Harley Quinn. I've not read her in the last few months. I checked in and out with 52 and didn't like it at all anytime I went in there. So I was kind of, and I gotta be honest with you, I've never really been appreciated her on her own. I haven't read a great Harley Quinn solo story yet. A few people recommending Mad Love for You, Lo. That's kind of the definitive classic Harley Quinn story.
Yeah, I was seeing that.
And So like I have liked her in things, of course, where she's not the main character. I didn't try that one low because I assumed that it was still kind of the same version of Harley Quinn we've had with 52, maybe retooled a little bit, because of course, again, with Rebirth, we've not rebooted, so it's the same characters, but we're finding kind of interesting ways within continuity to sort of rework them and retool them a little bit. And if other folks start to recommend that book, that are, and I might check it out just on your recommendation, Lo, just because I'm curious to see it kind of through your eyes. But if I hear from classic Batman fans and fans of that character that they've kind of come back around with her again, and she's more the Harley Quinn than I like, I might check it out. But I don't like Harley Quinn as a super genius. That's been my whole thing with that version and that take on her, is that they've made her. They have this thing with the Batman villains now where it seems like just all of them must be like at the absolute top of their scientific field and everything. And I just never saw Harley Quinn that way, and I don't like that. I feel like we've changed her too much.
Well, it didn't seem very super genius-y in this. It was more just people fighting like food poison induced zombies, I think. I don't know. It came from hot dogs. That's all I know. They were fighting zombies.
So I love how you were like, just out of context, you're like, I don't know if this is gonna be obvious to people, but me and hot dogs and zombies, and I'm like, oh yes, of course. Whenever
good.
I'm glad
that people got that.
Is hot dog induced zombies. Yeah. I also did not try the first issue of Suicide Squad, but was curious about it. I walked into the store and saw that and thought about grabbing it, and then I was gonna, and then I forgot about it before I left, so I didn't end up grabbing that. But I was kind of curious about it just because it's got nearly the same team with, I think, a couple of members missing from the movie, and I'm curious to know if the comic does a better job of integrating those characters together, making a good case for that being the team. But did you read that?
I did not. I did not get it, no.
Okay. So
I picked this up on a whim. It wasn't on my poll or anything. I was just kind of like, #1, might as well try it out. I enjoyed it.
Wow, Vicuminator, and of course, like, take this with a grain of salt. This is one person, but Vicuminator says, "Oh, Cap, Suicide Squad was awful. I stopped reading after 5 pages." Wow. So anyway, Lo, I am.
What about you?
I am more curious about that now than I was before.
Oh, geez. Don't read it just because I really like zombies, because that is something that I really like.
I'm not a zombie I'm not a big zombie person, but I like not so quirky stuff, especially within. I like that weird zany stuff within, especially that like dark twisted context. Like that's always fun. All right, so my #3 is Ghostbusters International, #7. This is now the second time that I've put this book in my top 3, and I'm so happy with this right now, and I love the direction Burnham is going with this. This has stopped feeling like just a fun kind of throwaway Ghostbusters miniseries, because we haven't had Ghostbusters for a while, so it was fun to come back to this world. And it started feeling like just the Ghostbusters monthly again, and it feels like stuff is really at stake, and there's a lot going on, and we're really pushing the mythos and pushing the characterizations and taking these people to some new places in the evolution of their characters. We do some stuff with Walter Peck, and we very nearly humanize him in this, which is fantastic, and not in a we have to change who he is kind of way. But Walter Peck, without giving too much away, gets to put on a proton pack, and that's hilarious and fantastic. And just the basic setup and premise for this is so cool for this particular issue. And these have been pretty readable alone, many of them, or at least several of these. We're only on issue 7. The next issue won't be real readable without this one probably, but if you haven't been reading this at all and you really like Ghostbusters, read this. You really like original Ghostbusters. What this does is it has Walter Peck bring in the Ghostbusters, and in order to bust a ghost, but for a family friend. So it's actually Walter Peck being the guy who is the client, which is really funny, and he won't admit that until the very, very, very last minute. And there's a really cool, fresh way to handle the mortality versus immortality kind of theme in a supernatural thing like this, where he has a family friend who is really elderly and she really wants to die. She's just tired of living, tired of being frail. And when she was younger, she did something that ticked off an old boyfriend of hers, and they had a bad breakup, and he goes to a banshee and has the banshee commit her to life, and so she's forced to live for like 500 years or so, but to basically age the way you would age if you never actually died. So it's not going to be a happy way to be nearly, or not immortal, but to get to have that long of a lifespan. And so she basically calls the Ghostbusters, or has Walter Peck call the Ghostbusters, to try to figure out how to be able to die. And then that is interestingly juxtaposed and paralleled with a character at the very end dealing with Egon, who is obsessed with immortality. And I don't know, so much good stuff packed in this issue, and it's really, really dense, especially for this book. I've never seen Burnham get this much done on 22 pages. He's at the top of his game here. I think this is one of the best issues he's ever written, and I've been reading him for 5 years. So I think that's about how long he's been doing this, 4 or 5 years. So anyway, that was pretty boss. Lo, nice. What is your number 2?
My number 2, and this is one of the 2 that I think we might line up on, is Papergirls number 8. Is that one for you? It is amazing. I think I might have lost Cap for a second because he didn't answer. But that's okay. So this book, it continues to amaze me. I feel like I just always gush about it, but we had a character finding out something pretty terrible at the end of last issue, and kind of seeing the ramifications and what that does to her was interesting. I also really, really loved the ending. I feel like this book does a really good job of giving us twist endings that don't necessarily feel like cop-outs. You aren't necessarily getting just like, and now this is happening. Like, it feels like it moves the plot along. Like I said, at the end of the last issue, we had something kind of dire revealed to one of the characters, and it's cool that that was then dealt with in this issue. And then at the end, with the reveal of something to do with a, what was it, field hockey stick?
Yes. And I gotta tell you, I had to look at that twice, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
With the field hockey stick being pulled out of midair?
Yes, no, that is the one complaint I will give this. I won't give away what the last page is of that in case people haven't read this yet. But it has a message, and for a second I thought it was the opposite of the message that's written on the stick. Oh, because
the first word is written on black.
Yes, and I was like, oh, that doesn't seem like a real punchy reveal, really. Oh, now it's ominous. Okay. Yeah.
And I think you might have been muted for a second, but was this on your list as well or not?
No, I was just gonna let you talk about it for a second before I said, and I was looking at the chat. There was
I figured
some stuff, but anyway, no, that was my number 1.
Oh, okay, nice. Well then, what do you have to say about it?
Sorry, we had a lag there. Are you? Can you hear me?
What do you have to say about it?
Oh, okay. So like I said, this is number 1 on my list. Yeah. So. This is just getting more intriguing and more imaginative all the time. I mean, I could almost keep putting this in my list and even at the top of my list just because of atmosphere and color and art and stuff. Because it's just a gorgeous and really eye-catching book, and sometimes, of course, absolutely mortifying. But I just get lost in this world. I cannot wait to sit down and read all of this together, Lo. And just let myself get immersed in this like I have Y. I'm kind of glad that I didn't read Y month to month, and that I've been able to get myself immersed in a trade of that and read 8 to 10 pages at 8 to 10 issues at a time. Really want to do that with this. I'm really wondering how long this is going to get, like how many issues this is ultimately going to be, because I hope it's like 30 or 40 or 50. I mean, and I think he's got enough material in here, and he's building enough mythology that it could potentially go that long. I have no idea what's going on with a few things things in a really good and satisfying way, where like I trust Vaughn to make those things clear when he needs to, and that I won't be strung along and feel too frustrated with it, because he's done that already, right? They're like I didn't expect the revelation of what the Apple device was to be given to us as quickly as it was. So like he's doing a really good job of, and he always does. He's such a master storyteller, this guy, such a command of both language and narrative. He always make sure that that we trust that we're going to get that stuff, and it kind of gives you that it kind of signs that contract with you early.
Well, and I mentioned earlier, I think when maybe you couldn't hear me or weren't paying attention.
I'm sorry. Okay, there's a lot going on.
One of the things I was mentioning is that this does a really good job of handling cliffhangers, and that it will reveal something to you at the end of an issue and then solve that promise, deliver on that promise immediately in the next issue. Like, we had something at the end of the previous issue that was revealed about one of the girls, and we have her dealing with that revelation first thing. And with the Apple device, we had it almost immediately. As soon as they were back to a safe place, they were trying to figure out what that Apple device was. And it does a good job of not, and you and I both love Lost, but it does a good job of doing not what Lost did, where it presents a question, and then instead of answering that question, gives you 8 more, which I also loved, but this is a very different type of story, and it's doing a really great job of delivering on promises while still keeping you engaged.
Well, the problem with something like Lost is you were never sure you could trust it.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't keep proving to you that it was worth paying attention to it and keeping all that stuff in your head. And of course, Vaughn makes sure to do that. I love the language in this. I can't talk about Vaughn without bringing up his ability to give every character a different voice. His stuff is so character driven. He feels like the kind of writer that doesn't outline, and I don't know if he does, but he feels like the kind of writer that that allows things to happen based on what characters are doing in the moment, and I just love him for that. There's almost always some kind of, because these are characters that come from the late 80s, and that's, when I was a little kid, there's almost always some detail in this book that that kind of either hits close to home for me, or that I kind of recognize and feel like not everybody reading the book would, and I was really enjoy that. And this time it was the thing about the fountain that people throw coins into in the mall. That was a big early mid 90s thing. Every mall I went to had a fountain, and there were always a whole bunch of coins in it. And I just loved the perspective of these girls penny pitching and being paper girls and trying to be independent and have their own money. And one of them says, why would you throw your hard-earned cash away on a wish, which is also really sad, because it shows you how she's kind of looking at life right now. And Yvonne also does that great thing that I'm loving in a lot of recent time travel stories, where we're putting an older and a younger character together and using that to analyze how different a person is in different points of their life, to the point where if you met your older or much younger self, you would be an entirely different person and would have a different perspective and worldview. And he's nailing that too. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that we've introduced this fascinating idea in the mythology that despite having alternate versions of different characters, this is not a multi-timeline thing.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by that we're not doing different dimensions in this. And I love that line from the girl who is and I'm not remembering these characters' names right now because I haven't.
Other Aaron is what we're calling.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's Other Aaron, and she's apparently from like 6,000 years in the future, or has at least been there. But she looks the same age as the current one, and she's like, yeah, the scientists just got that whole the theories all wrong about different dimensions and string theory and stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is new. Like, Yvonne's making such a good case for his time travel story in a period where we are inundated with them, and we kind of seem to be rehashing a lot of the same stuff over and over again in time travel stories, but pretending like it's the first time it's ever been done. That's the big thing that's been driving me crazy about Legends. And I just love Papergirls coming out at the same time as Legends of Tomorrow.
Well, what was your number 2?
Well, my number 2, which I'm sure we'll both talk about together, is Moon Knight number 5.
Yeah, it is my number 1.
Was that your number 1?
Yeah.
We'll go. I was just talking for a long time, so you go ahead and start on this.
Which, despite the fact that it says 5 of 5 on there, we now know that is not the final issue, and we learned that last week.
As I said last time, Lo, importantly, it's part 5, not issue 5. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Well, it is issue 5.
No. I know. But it's not
part
saying
5 as opposed to saying issue 5 of 5.
Number 5 out of 5 issues.
Yeah.
That would be the distinction.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See, but like I said, it's coming to me.
Although sometimes both. But anyway, yeah.
I loved the art in this. Like, oh my gosh. The fact that we were going between all these different dimensions where we're on a moon and then we go through a door and we're in this like maybe actors on a set somewhere, and then we're in this like retro kind of like 80s neon thing. Honestly, it kind of looks like Papergirls. And then we go through another door and we're back to regular.
With a little bit of Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
With a little bit of Spider-Gwen mixed in.
Yeah, and I loved that idea of just quickly, it was honestly very cinematic, just quickly kind of shuffling through these different things, and it jolts you sort of in a way with that art that it really puts you through what he's going through in his mind with his like trying to struggle with the fact that, is he going crazy? Is he not going crazy? Is there this other Moon Knight and he's not Moon Knight? Is somebody else impersonating Moon Knight? Like there were so many things happening, and that quick little, it was like 5 or 6 pages long of those like different almost like universes or parts of his brain kind of gave you that very quickly in a very visual way, as also in a like literary way. So that was pretty cool. I loved the ending. I honestly, I mean, I'm sure I had thought about it, but I never expected the person who turned out to be the, shall we call them bad guy, to be the bad guy. Or just to turn on him like that. I wasn't expecting that for whatever reason. So that sort of jolted me. And I'm interested to see where it's going, because it really seems like he is not in a healthy mental place and at all. And he's just gonna go about his life as if he didn't just have this like amnesia causing almost like vivid dream or something in his brain that caused him to go on all sorts of vision quests, and is now just like, oh, okay. And I love how she's like, do you not remember my name? And she isn't like, are you okay? She's just like, oh, whatever. Like, it's fine that you're asking all these really weird questions. Okay, bye. So that makes me think that, is this not just another part of his brain? Because that's a really strange thing for her to do. Or maybe she is just that ditzy. Who knows?
Well, and given that, and like, it's hard to talk about this issue without talking about it, but you know, about a lot of stuff that's going on there. But when he gets to that place at the end, the way that happens through kind of through kind of a, I don't even want to say sacrifice, because it's not that. But when that happens, it's hard not to think that he's not just receding into another place in his psyche, because how else is that happening? Unless he wasn't anything like where we thought he was when he did the big, scary, dangerous thing. Lemire is is an incredibly versatile writer, and I'm loving this. I'm loving Old Man Logan right now, and of course I've read some other things of his that I've liked a lot too. Of course he's known really well for his for his Green Arrow run, and I've checked in with him on some other things since then. We look at guys like Cullen Bunn and I guess Bendis and some other people that write a whole bunch of books at once, and Lemire is the one who I think has right now the most consistent output of quality. I'm not saying he's putting out as many books as Bunn is, but like, he will write 3 or 4 things at a time, and they are always some of the best things that I'm reading. And he gets a lot of praise for his work, but I think it's important to talk about him as also a really prolific writer. And Greg Smallwood, is also really versatile in his artwork, and is putting out with this book some stuff like I've never seen. Really, really surreal, really memorable, burned into your brain kind of imagery. And I've talked a lot with this book about his use of white space in his panel layouts, and he continues to do that. I think, I really think that that you can't read too much into the white space. I think that the moment, like if next issue we start seeing a lot less of that, you have to assume that we're getting closer to reality or possibly farther away from it. I don't know, but it will tell you something about where we are with reality, because I keep thinking that it's supposed to represent the void in his mind, and I don't know that that's really going to tell us anything until we have all of this and we know exactly what's happening. But I think that's, I don't know, and that's important. I think the colors of black and white, of course, are really important and will become more important as a symbol as the thing goes along. This time, though, we've got 4 different artists in giving us all those jarring different different bits of realities and or parts of his psyche. One of them being Francisco Francavilla, who I always really like. And what else did I want to mention about this that you didn't cover? Yeah, that reveal was a thing that I didn't see coming either, and also like you kind of felt like I ought to have, and I think that we're being manipulated in exactly the right kind of way.
Yeah.
How impressive is it that I'm finding this character, I don't want to speak for you, but that I'm finding that this character is so sympathetic and interesting, and I'm not too frustrated by not always having a good handle on what's real and what isn't to keep reading it. Like even though I very often don't feel like I know anything, I still really care what happens to this guy. And that keeps me trucking along. So
I still 5 issues in and very much like I don't really know what's happening, which sounds bad, but it's not like it's very much just because I think he does a good job, like you were saying, of giving us exactly what the character is going through. So you feel that same sort of like, what do I trust? What is real? What isn't? We're seeing both of them presented to us as if they could be real. Or could be the truth even if they aren't real. And which is a weird sentence in and of itself. And like you said, I'm flabbergasted that I just immediately trusted this character, that he trusted as well. I think because he immediately trusted them, I was like, yes, I'm on board. I agree with you. You should do whatever this creepy bird head thing says. And we'll just go with it. And it's like, yes, be all end all, we're on the road. So then when that flip happens, it's a little more jarring. I don't know.
That's the guide character.
Yeah.
That's and again, it's not like we've not seen that reversal 100 times.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the reason that you start to trust it is because you're trying to latch onto something. And this book is very much like climbing a climbing wall with really small handholds, where like it's fun, but it tenses up all of your muscles and you never know when you might drop.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's brilliant, and it's getting a lot of attention, and I'm really glad about that. And it's impressive that 2 very different takes on Moon Knight, 2 different runs in a row, are getting a lot of attention. And last night, I think it was Anna's. Last time, it was because of that of those individual one and done awesome issues done by a really popular writer that hasn't been in superheroes in a while, and if memory serves. And then this time, an ongoing story that is that has a little bit in common with that, just in the kind of pulpy look of it, but it is a very, very different book and a different take on it. Well, Lo, I think that's all of our top 3.
Yeah.
So we move on now to other books that we read last week, and Lo, why don't you take us through some of yours?
Yeah, I've got just a couple here. I did have more than this, but the ones that I wanted to mention, Silk number 11, very fun. Still dealing with, I guess we've sort of moved on from the aftermath of the crossover. It sort of feels like it has wrapped that up, but I'm still really enjoying her arc, and we dealt a lot with her past with being in the bunker. So it's good to see her kind of starting to work through some of her issues and starting to reach out and get friends that she can trust with her secrets. And then, of course, we're just going to go to another planet. Is that where we're going? It's hard to tell. It was just like the last couple panels of them like ending up in this like other dimension / planet. So interesting, weird cliffhanger, because it's not something that is really happening in this book at all. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But I really liked hearing a lot of her backstory. We had Year of Marvel's The Unstoppable #1, because again, we can't be bothered to number these like a normal book. This one focused mainly.
Unstoppable what? Like this year is unstoppable. Time moves forward. You can't stop that.
This is the most intense of these ones so far. They've been a lot more kind of I don't know that silly is the right word, but like lighthearted, just sort of fun, everyday type of stories. But both of the stories in this were like life and death things. So that was interesting and sort of jarring almost, because I was expecting just like a fun read. It was a good book for sure, but it was different than what I was expecting compared to the last few issues. So maybe that's why they're numbering them differently, to sort of differentiate them, but whatever. It was fun. It was just weird. Vote Loki continues to be very interesting and bizarre. And the fact that they draw him, let me find a good picture here. They draw him like a stereotypical politician. Is so weird to me. Like, he's still got horns, but he's in like a little button-up shirt, giving his speech in front of an American flag. It's very strange. And he has like his, and there's like a terrorist plot and junk, you know. This is exactly how I described this book last week.
Is there any human trafficking, Lo?
Not that I remember. I read this a couple days ago. I don't think so. Oh, okay. There's terrorism stuff. There's people sneaking around through like militant stuff, but yeah. Last two, I have Batman #4 and Superman #4, both of which I continue to like, but since, as previously stated when I was talking about Harley Quinn, I am not as familiar with these characters, especially in their comic form. It's a little harder for me to just totally jump on board because I don't know the characters as well. I'm still kind of trying to get to know them. They're definitely interesting stories, and I'm following what's happening for sure, but there are characters that appear that I know I should know who they are, but I don't, and so I'm like, I don't really know what's happening with a lot of stuff. But yeah, they're both still really fun. I'm definitely enjoying them, and I can tell that they are well written, just a little more difficult for someone like me to just jump right into and love right off the bat. So still fun, still recommend them, but not like my cup of tea, I guess is how I would put it. But yeah, those are the ones I wanted to.
I'm glad you're trying those out anyway. Batman over Superman is probably the easiest thing for somebody that hasn't kept up.
I agree.
You know, everybody knows what Batman and Superman are, but I'm just saying that hasn't been keeping up with comics. Because Superman is so rooted in the history and so rooted in pre-52 history and going back constantly to Death of Superman. Honestly, you'd be a lot more at home if you just read the Death of Superman stuff, because that's primarily what we keep going back to, especially because that's all based on an idea that, you know, Jurgens had before all this with Lois and Clark. So that's what we keep running back to. It's really funny that we've now had 3 out of the 4 of the Superman and Reign of the Superman, Superman already collectively between Lois and Clark and this stuff. You've got Hank Henshaw, who Superman is investigating because he's afraid that he's going to become Cyborg Superman. And of course, that doesn't happen because we already have Cyborg Superman in 52, and he just doesn't know how this new continuity works. And Cyborg Superman in the new continuity is Zor-El, who is Kara Zor-El, Supergirl's dad. And that whole thing is fascinating, and I'm so excited for Supergirl because it just occurs to me, so we're gonna have all 3 of them at kind of the same time, because we've got Eradicator here, although I don't know how much longer we're gonna see him, but we've got Eradicator here. We've got like I said, we've got Cyborg Superman, and then well, no, I guess that's just the 2, because then you have to have Steel and Superboy. I don't know who else I was thinking. I guess it was just those 2. But anyway, so and then you got Doomsday, so you've got a whole lot of that stuff. And then Bibbo, who is all over Death of Superman, shows up here also. And I don't know if we saw him at all in 52. They seem to have just decided maybe, unless somebody can tell me where else he popped up in 52, that, oh yeah, and also Bibbo's in this universe, and we just skipped the whole him being a bum on the street and being inspired by Superman and opening his own bar thing. Already done all of that, and so random Death of Superman things have happened, or things around it, because that's not Death of Superman, but that's around that, that run. So anyway, did you have any other books?
I had a couple others, but these are the ones I wanted to mention. So,
okay, cool. I'll run down some other ones real quick. Yeah, sure. I'm not going to add a whole lot about these, except to say that Batman took a turn that I was not expecting, and not 100% sure what I think about it yet. I just got to see it moving forward. It's fascinating. It's not what I was expecting, and I don't want to give too much away. But with the Gotham character, we did a thing that I was initially kind of worried we would do, but in a very different way. So I'm really, really intrigued by it. And that's all I'll say. And curiously, Gotham, or is it Gotham Girl? Is that her name? His wife doesn't show up at all in this issue, and when she finally pops in again, I have no idea how she's going to react to the stuff that happened in this. So so that's all really interesting, and really sad for Batman with this whole thing. We got to see a really expressive, super sad Batman reacting to the unfortunate stuff going on with Gotham and that, and Superman. This is so ultra over the top all of a sudden, and with like Eradicator and having like all of the souls of Krypton in him, and I figured we would broach this at some point. This idea of Superman's son John being kind of a half-breed, and how Kryptonians, if there were Kryptonians, might not accept him, and dealing with his being a child of both of two worlds, and maybe not of actually really of either. Hopefully we explore that in a more interesting way moving forward. This was fun, mostly for action. It was really cool to see Superman and his son both taking something out together, and I loved that. This is where you give me a giant 2-page spread in a book that I've been complaining has been a little bit too slow because of the double shipping and stretching things along, and I don't mind it so much because it's such a big kind of power moment. Doing a little bit more with this issue, and I feel like Tomasi is doing a better job than Jurgens right now in action of making sure that enough stuff happens in a whole issue, but still dragging his feet a little bit. I even felt that way with the last page, where I do think that we could have gotten to this place in 2 issues or 3 issues instead of 4, but we're getting better at that, at least with this book. And this is definitively a better book than Action, I think. Daredevil Annual #1. This had 2 different stories in it, and I wish that both of them had been their own issues and had a chance to breathe and be a little bit longer and flesh themselves out. I don't know. I feel like this should have been like was this a bigger issue? I think it has a few extra pages, but I think it needed even more, or just needed to be 2 different issues somehow. I didn't really get anything out of the last the second issue, except bringing in Gladiator, who's got like big buzzsaws on his arms. I didn't get a lot out of that, except that guy seems to have been kind of set up here to do more stuff later, and it's weird to do that here in like a half an issue or a little bit less than a full issue story. It was really strange. When he pops up again, people are going to be like, "Oh, we're pretending like he showed up at some place," but I never read that because I don't know how many people are actually going to buy and read this annual. But that was super gritty and street level and ultra violent. But the first half of this was phenomenal, and I just wish, like I said, that it had a chance to be a little bit longer. That's the story that Charles Soule wrote with artists by Vanessa Ardell Ray. I don't know her. She needs to come back and do many, many more things. Really sketchy, but in just the right way that it ought to be with Daredevil. And I don't know if that's our main... I don't think that's our main Daredevil artist right now. It has a similar look to that, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know who's drawing that book, because I forget, I haven't been paying attention. This does a thing that you can only do in comics, and I love this. It's a little bit similar to a Doctor Who story that I read a few months ago, where we have characters that are made entirely out of sound, And this goes even farther by having sound waves that go through a city that we have a deaf superhero working with Daredevil, with our blind superhero, which is just interesting inherently. And you see these, she's able to, feel the vibrations, but isn't actually hearing the sound. And this music is turning people into monsters of pure sound wave energy. And she's immune to it because she doesn't actually hear it. She just feels the vibrations. And so she goes to Daredevil and like they're friends, and she knows that it's going to affect Daredevil and turn him into sound energy. So she goes to him and puts on a pair of headphones on him, and he gets saved by what band? He gets saved by a popular band, and I can't remember who, but it was really funny because we put this. Oh, he gets saved by Prince! He gets saved by Prince. Daredevil ends up not getting turned into sound energy because he gets saved by Prince, and it's awesome. And just the use of visual storytelling in this, and again, doing a thing that I guess you could kind of do in animation, but I enjoyed kind of having to guess what the music was like because it's from the perspective of a deaf person. So I wouldn't want to be hearing it. Because we're always in her head and she can't hear. And at the end, when she asks Daredevil, there's a thing that happens where he's able to finally hear the song without being affected by it, and he says it was like the best, most beautiful music he's ever heard, and it's a really, really cool story. I just wish it was a whole issue.
I just have to say that I've been watching Power Rangers, and last week I literally just watched an episode where there was a girl who was deaf who saved all of her friends because she couldn't hear the music that, Monster du Jour was using to hypnotize all of her friends. And I think that's really funny. And
yeah, I'm not saying it's the first time it's ever been done, but
I know, I'm just saying that I just watched that, and then the next day you're like, oh yeah, and then here's this story.
That is so fun. Oh, Manos read this issue too. Yeah. He calls it a Super Friends story with Daredevil and Echo. Yeah, it is. And Echo was not a character I couldn't even remember. It was not a character I was familiar with. And I really dug that. That was fun. And I have nothing to say about Green Lanterns #4. It's just okay. I'm reading this because of Red Lanterns. I'm not real into this duo yet. They finally kind of come together and start to appreciate and respect each other a little bit in, kind of the typical way. And I'm not real invested yet. We'll see where that goes. Anyway, all right, so cover of the week. Cover of the week. Lo, what was your favorite cover for last week?
My favorite cover of the week was Papergirls, because even though it really had almost nothing to do with what happened this issue, it has to do with the cliffhanger that I talked about in the last issue, and kind of like showing the character who, and it's probably pretty obvious what they found out about themselves, and at the end of the last issue, kind of dealing with what is essentially their fate in the future. So especially now that we know that there's only one timeline, at least according to other Erin, who knows if she's lying, but I believe her. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that it was kind of profound. I don't know if that's the right word, but just to show a fairly simple cover of this character kind of dealing with their fate. So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. We are visualizing. Sorry. Yeah, we're definitely visualizing the personal themes there with that issue, with that cover, and doing the same thing with Moon Knight #5. And I feel like I'm kind of picking this one for the same reason that you picked Papergirls.
Yeah.
Kind of fun that the best covers of this week are for us were in our top 3. But yeah, his taking off his real face to reveal the mask is of course a really classic superhero concept or idea in the first place, or superheroes and vigilantes. But the fact that we have this cover and I still don't know if I can be sure that this is exactly what's going on is kind of fantastic. I feel like there might even be kind of a third mask to take off. Okay, so Lo, as I keep forgetting to do, and if folks keep winning the digital issues and then not sending me messages about them, I guess nobody cares about Marvel right now because people are not taking me up on it unless they're sending me messages and I'm missing them. But when you win one, I need you to send me a message that I have something to reply to. But Anyway, so if Lo, I haven't seen anybody yet guessing
Me
stuff.
either. I know there were some people like before the stream started that were guessing stuff, but we did make that distinction that those things are not valid. Correct me if I'm wrong, people in the chat, but I did not see anybody once the stream started actually guess anything. So
yeah, we did make that rule. We will do. Okay, Red Learn Tilly's just got it. So good job. I was gonna open it up and let people go ahead and start writing some. But Red Learn Tilly's mentioned All Star Batman. That is indeed on my list. I'm excited about that. I'm glad though that we've gotten to read 4 issues of King before Snyder comes in and does his next thing. Really glad that we did that. That he was able to kind of go off without a net, and that people weren't because I feel like that might have been eclipsed by Snyder just because he's so popular, his Batman is so popular. But we're going to get to see him and John Romita together, which sounds like an all-star team. And so the title is wonderfully appropriate. And they're going to be reimagining classic villains. And I don't know how long they're going to be there together before there's another team that jumps on, or if it's them for a long time. But we're starting Two-Face, and it's been a while since we've seen a really good Two-Face story. I liked the one-shot that we got during Villains Month, and there's been some... there were 1 or 2 things in 52 that were pretty okay with Two-Face, but that's pretty exciting. They're starting with Two-Face. That's really cool. He's one of those Batman villains that's kind of everybody's favorite character, and people cannot point to great stories about him a lot of the time. So that's pretty cool. And then I'll go ahead and throw out my other 2 real quick since Riddler and Tilly's guessed mine first. Also, Superwoman #1, Lois Lane with Superman's powers. Who doesn't want to read that? And and we've got. Well, I was going to say, we've got the Lois Lane from the other continuity, but now that I'm thinking about it, they're probably doing it with 52 Lois Lane. I don't really know anything about this book besides that's the basic premise. We've not set it up anywhere yet, which I'm kind of surprised by. So I guess the origin of that happening is going to be in that book unless I missed something somewhere, but I've been reading every Superman book, so... If I missed it, it's because I'm not paying attention. I don't know what's going on if it's not there. And then new Superman #2. Mine are all DC this time. That first issue of that run, that story is just dynamite, and I'm really stoked for more of it. Lo, what are your 3?
My 3, and there's a super loud plane going overhead. My 3 are Lumberjane.
I can hear. This is the first time I can hear that one. That is loud. It must be loud if I can hear it.
Number 3 is Lumberjane.
Oh, that is a giant pyramid behind you too.
No, it's not. Stop it. Oh, why would you say that to me? And you secretly are a bird-headed god, maybe? Anyways, my number 3 is Lumberjane.
You got me.
Yeah, I gotcha.
This is not hair.
Yeah.
This is not hair.
It's feathers.
It's my bird feathers.
So I've got Lumberjane's Gotham Academy #3, which is my number 3, and then my number 2 is Wonder Woman #4, and my number 1 is Flintstones #2. Very excited for all 3 of those. Flintstones was kind of crazy during the first issue, which I loved. And I only have 5 things coming out next week.
Oh, wow.
As far as my list goes. So it was not a big list to choose from. So we'll see if I pick up a couple other maybe like number 1s or something just to try out some new books. But yeah, it's a small list for me next week.
Well, that is an excellent segue moving now into the open forum, and we'll go ahead and start taking questions right now. So if there's anything you guys want to hear us talk about, any questions about any issues we talk about, or anything anything going on in comic books that right now, or superheroes that you want to hear us talk about, feel free to leave comments about that right now. But Lo, we should talk a little bit about this weekend and what's going on for anybody that is not already familiar, because we bring this up every show because we're so stoked about it. But I called that
how somebody isn't aware that this is happening is beyond me. This must be their first episode.
I called that a good segue because we've got to decide what, if any, videos besides places we're going to make while I'm there. Because so I'm going to spend the weekend at Curious Lowe's place and going to California for Power Morphicon, and so we're going to the Power Rangers convention. Be there with my son Jason, and we're going to go with Lo and her husband to Disneyland, and it's going to be great. And so, but if we have any downtime at all, I'm going to be there 3 days, and that is not a ton of time. But if we have any downtime at all, Lo and I are talking about doing something. And usually we have Geeks Not Nerds live on Sunday night, and I'm actually going to be in town there with you, Lo, when that show would usually happen. So we've got to decide if we're either going to go ahead and just do it with the both of us there, remotely, or if we're going to let the other guys have it and we're just going to do something else. I don't know yet, but if we, I don't think we would, but if we did have time, I mean, we could just do the comic reviews there, but then it wouldn't be a Monday.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting and fun and crazy busy weekend, and we're just like packed. We're so packed with time. Like I feel like it's just going to be nonstop for us the entire weekend. We're both going to be exhausted by the end of it.
Yeah, and then I come back and have to volunteer at a convention the very next day.
I see you leave, and that day I have a friend coming into town who I will then be going back to Disneyland.
Oh boy! Wow, that's nuts.
So,
but I've got to stay awake and lucid so that I can help put together a Star Wars display and stuff. Lo.
Oh yeah, is that happening? That's that day.
That's that day.
Oh
yeah.
Wow!
Should I?
Like immediate.
If I can do this briefly enough, should I tell people about that? Is that interesting enough?
Yeah, that's a super cool thing. Talk about it.
Okay, so I'll make this, like I said, as short as I can. I am friends with the guy, and some of you guys will have heard this story, but I am friends with Ken Keller, who was the founder of the Kansas City and Sci-Fi foundation group here in Kansas City like 40 years ago, and that's still going. He's still the head of it. And they do a convention every year called Conquest that I've been involved with and done panels on. And like I said, Ken and I are really good friends, and he came on a podcast with me once talking about talking about Worldcon in 1976. And so it was 40 years ago this year. Where they had the first display before Star Wars came out, showing people what that movie was going to be, and of course people were trepidatious and had no idea what it was and if it was going to be any good at all. And they had a lot of props from the movie there. They had the Darth Vader suit, and they had a Stormtrooper mask or suit, I forget. Chewbacca's head was there. There was all kinds of stuff, and Mark Hamill was there before anybody knew who Mark Hamill was. And long story short, being cast about this, and you can go listen to that and listen to all the fascinating details about that. It was put together by Ken and Charles Lippincott, who was the marketing director for Star Wars. Well, Charles Lippincott found the video that we made, and Worldcon is here in Kansas City this year on that 40th anniversary. This all coming together is absolutely nuts, and they are doing a recreation of it. And it's basically a big historical project to show everybody what that was like. They've got some pictures from it, and they're not gonna have all the Star Wars props because they couldn't get Lucasfilm to let them do that. Even with Lippincott's pull, he wasn't able to get that stuff. But there's a lot of other really rare and interesting things that they're going to be putting in that, and they're going to be recreating as much of that display they can. And it's also going to be a lot bigger. And because I did that podcast with Ken, they keep telling me that I'm the reason this thing happened in the first place, and so they've asked me to come and volunteer and help them out with it. So that's going to be really cool. So I get to go work with the original marketing director for Star Wars. He is 76 years old, Charles Lippincott. And I'm going to get to work with him and his wife, and it's really neat. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I've talked with them, and they sound really neat, and they were super nice on the phone. So yeah, I'm stoked about it. So if I can take any video or pictures of that, I will, and I'll post it and show you guys some of that stuff. But that might be neater to me than it is to anybody else, but it's going to be cool.
I don't know. That's pretty neat.
Let's answer some questions.
Somebody was asking, and I also want to ask you, Cap. I don't know if you've even had time, but have you seen Stranger Things?
Not yet. Yeah, I have been told by no fewer than 15 people that I need to sit in and watch that show.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about it.
Including the owner at my comic shop. He keeps telling me to watch it. So I will get to that. Sonic Rush. Yes, I've played one or two of the games in the Sonic Rush series on handheld, and I like it. I liked it a lot. Yeah. That's my review. Liked it a lot.
Sorry, somebody. Saren. Wait, I don't even think that I can pronounce your name, dude. Okay, Snurpity.
So it's Snurpity. Snurpity Derpity.
Snurpity Derpity. Here we go.
Two of us, but we got it. Oh, at first I read serendipity, and it wasn't serendipity.
Yeah. They said that someone needs to make a GIF of Lo saying "so good." Which, I think a lot of the things that I do are silly enough as it is. We do not need to immortalize them in GIF form. Please no.
Vacuuminator, Cap, what panels are you planning on going to for Power Morphicon? So Vacuuminator's going to be there too. Unfortunately, we're only going to be able to go there on Saturday. There's no way to go 2 days. We talked about it. We thought we were going to be able to do it. And for a couple of big reasons, it's not going to happen. So there were a couple of panels low on Friday that I was like, they finally have put out the tentative schedule. And there's a couple panels on Friday that would have been panels I would have gone to, including the Dino Thunder panel, although they're putting it with like 3 other shows. So that's not as big of a loss for me. I think I have like 2 actors from Dino Thunder. So that's not so big of a deal. But the Power Rangers the movie panel is that day, and they've got the guy who played Ivan Ooze, and they've got Dulcia, and I would have really liked to have been there for that one, so that's unfortunate. But on Saturday they're doing the Mighty Morphin panel, so luckily we won't miss that, because that will be the only thing where Lo will be like, I sort of know what people are talking about. And then but of course that'll be really great for Jason. Jason's the one that's really going to make out on this trip, Lo. They've got the Boom. Well, actually, this will be great for you and me too. Of course, they're doing the Boom Comics panel that day, and I don't know how many of the people working on those books are going to be there. But I'm really hoping they've got the writer and artist on Power Rangers Pink there, because that would be fantastic. And so, Lo, make sure that you bring your Power Ranger Pink comics so you can get those signed, because there will probably be somebody there that worked on those. And then we also are getting a Ron Wasserman panel that day, the guy that did all the music for Mighty Morphin. And believe it or not, Lo, that's the thing Jason is most excited about. He listens to the Ron Wasserman album all the time. He's so excited to meet Wasserman. And I should also mention, guys, that we might be getting press passes. I've been kicking around whether or not I want to. I discovered that we qualify for them with what we've done for Power Rangers. For Power Rangers, the Power Ranger content we've got on the channel makes us eligible, and I'm thinking about doing it partly just because Jason really wants to talk to some actors, and I think Jason conducting interviews would be fantastic.
It'd be amazing. And somebody pointed out that I've not said this yet this entire stream. That would be adorable. So it must happen.
Would be adorable. Yes. So that's my answer. Cap, have you considered making a comedic fight video with Steve Baxi? Well, we don't live in the same place. It just we can't even throw fake punches and step over there. Oh, you mean like an argument? You know what? It's funny. We actually have talked about that. Believe it or not, we have at least one time, Lo, it's come up where it's like, let's make a video where it just seems like we hate each other. And now that I've said that,
I feel like when we were relaunching and all the different ideas that we kicked around in that month that you took off, that might have come up at that point. Like there were so many things where, guys, you're so lucky that we just went with introducing ourselves as different members of the Geekvolution team. We were going to be so mean and like say that Cap was quitting the channel and like never coming back and like all these different things. And I think that there was a moment where people were going to get in a fight.
we nearly trolled our own channel, and it would have been I don't think that would have been fun. But like, it
we
was
made
so
a good
funny
decision.
it was so funny in our heads. We talked about it for a long time, and at almost the 11th hour, I finally went, "You guys, we cannot do this."
We were all sort of, because as soon as one person pointed out that it might have been a little mean, everybody was like, yeah, it might be a little mean. And then we all kind of backed off immediately. But it really was. It was like 3 days beforehand.
I wrote this like page, and I've never told anybody about this, Lo, besides Steve, and maybe you know about this, but I wrote this.
Yeah.
I wrote this like page and a half like resignation letter, basically, where and it just sounded like I got too into it, and it just sounded too real, and I was like, no, I'm not reading this on camera. Not gonna do that. Let's see. Oh yeah, Connor says, I remember I recorded a 30-second sorry to get to see Captain Logan Go video. Yeah, I asked everybody that's ever been on the channel before it to make videos saying they were sorry to see that the channel is being shut down.
And if I recall,
and
that was part of the reason. And if I recall, that was part of the reason why we ended up stepping back from it, because one of them was like, no, I don't want to do this. That's mean. And then you were like, oh yeah, maybe that is mean. And then we were all like, oh yeah, maybe that is mean.
I was like, yeah, I've never talked about this. But I don't mind the full disclosure. Yeah, we had one person, and I think he was right about it ultimately, who was like,
we were all blinded by being evil internet trolls.
He goes, I don't like pranks, and I was like, I don't like pranks either. And then I went, this is kind of a prank. Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Good times.
Okay, Vacuminator, I didn't ask you. I didn't ask everybody. Because I didn't get to everybody before I finally decided not to do that anymore.
Yeah. Geekvolution Civil War. I mean, we're all really good friends, but there are times where we definitely get into arguments in the chat. Like, because we have like this one chat that everybody's in. And just throughout the week, we'll say different things. There's another plane going overhead, if you can't tell. It always makes me so self-conscious. No, I'm sorry.
It was an airplane.
And like, we'll just get in arguments about stuff because like half the people will feel one way and half the people will feel the other way. Or, you know, one person will feel one way and one person will feel another. So it certainly happens. I just think that we're all good enough friends that it doesn't matter because we're all friends and we can have different opinions and still be friends.
Any other cool questions? This chat is hilarious, by the way. Earlier, there was all this talk about how I should put together my own Suicide Squad. Captain Logan as Amanda Waller putting together a Suicide Squad. Oh, somebody asked me. It was Divid 22. I'm trying to find the exact question. He was asking me why I don't review Star Trek comics. I guess he means vaults on like the old ones, because he was like, says something about Voyager. I don't know if I'm understanding this question correctly because it was kind of clipped. But I have done a couple of things before of older Star Trek comics, and people didn't seem real interested in them, which is why I haven't done a lot more. So I mean, like, if I got more requests for some of that stuff, I might talk about more of the Star Trek comics. But you know, not that I need a video to hit a certain view count before I'll make them, but it just hasn't been a priority. I think a couple hundred people watched that, and so I just haven't gone back and done a lot more of those. People want to see the letter. I'm not showing you that.
You probably don't even have it anymore, I would assume.
I mean, you know, I save everything. It's in my hard drive.
Oh, okay. It's somewhere.
Yeah. I didn't handwrite it. And then burn it in the fireplace so nobody would ever see it.
It's not in your Spawn Year notebook.
It is not in my Spawn Year notebook, but I still have those too. Yeah. But if it was in my Spawn Year notebook, I probably wouldn't be able to read it. I can't tell you how many times I have such bad handwriting, and with Spawn Year, I made it as legible as I tried to make it like my very best handwriting early on. And then I started kind of rushing it, just trying to get episodes out and stuff. And you can see when I filmed the books, Lo, you can see the steady decline of my handwriting. And there are places where I would be, because of course I hand wrote all of that, so I'd have to read it from the book. And there were places where I had to stop and do another take just because I didn't know what I'd written. I had to look at it closer.
people are I'm assuming that people just forget when this was happening, but people are saying, oh, publish it as an April Fool's joke regarding your letter. We launched on April 2nd. It was going to be an April Fool's joke. Like the Goodbye Captain Logan or whatever that video that we ended up putting out was on April 1st.
The Captain Logan No More video was a compromise. Yeah. Where it looks like I made that really cryptic. So it's an April Fool's Day joke. So it's just a joke, regardless of what it was. But we ultimately decided it would be cool if it looked like a joke, but then turned out to be kind of true, and it was, because we went to the Admiral thing. So the idea was Captain Logan No More because he's going to become an Admiral, but then ultimately after a week and a half, we decided we didn't like that anymore, and for a lot of reasons. So
we're really good at making decisions as a group, as you can tell.
No, the thing, this was all uncharted water and brand new territory, right? And so there were some bumps in the road with this whole rebirth thing, as you would expect. And in fact, I think it was way smoother than we all ever thought it would be.
We were so nervous. Like, honestly, even with all of the debacle surrounding a certain spoiler stream that we did, we expected subscriber counts to drop. We expected people to just hate everything and be so upset. And yes, we got a little bit of that, but the amount that we got was not nearly as much as we expected. So all thanks to you guys. Yeah, even those of you who think I'm dumb. I appreciate you not commenting about it.
Whoa.
What's happening on your end? Are you going crazy? Did I just witness the birth of a supervillain? What is happening?
Suicide Squad. That was me doing the Joker Suicide Squad laugh.
I haven't seen it yet. I need to. I actually think we're going to see it tomorrow night after I get off work. So hopefully.
I can't decide. Somebody just wrote, "Logan is so dumb," by the way, in all caps.
Yes. Thank you, the Dope Channel. I appreciate you.
Now I can't decide what's more fun, doing that crazy Joker laugh. I mean, crazy should be redundant there, but I'm using that word sort of in a different kind. I can't decide if I prefer to do that low or ding 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 ding.
I don't know. I think the ding 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 will never be not funny.
Ding 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 ding. Especially with this hair, right?
Yes.
I can't tell you how many people have called me Jesse Eisenberg since I grew my hair out like this. Yeah. Although speaking of that, I might be cutting it soon because I'm thinking about doing a cosplay this weekend.
So you are thinking about doing that then?
I'm considering it. Yeah, I haven't decided yet. Yeah, it's Lo's fault. I was like, here's an idea. And I was like, Lo, that would be ridiculous. And she goes, that's why you have to do it. So yeah, I don't know. But if I do it, I'm gonna have to spike my hair, and I'm gonna have to cut it way down and spike it. So it'll take me months to grow it out again if I decide to grow it back. But anyway, not to spend a lot of time talking about my hair. But
it's what the people come for. The people come for mediocre comic book reviews and Captain Logan's hair.
And now I'm being called Logan Luthor. Hey Cap, would you like to see? What would you like to see in the new Spider-Man movie? Do you like the comedy high school angle? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they pull that off. Dan and I did a whole video about that, and I don't think I have anything else to add right now. It was an hour and a half long, but yeah, we were both really optimistic about it. Yeah.
Manos just said, "Come for the comic reviews, stay for the hair."
Stay for the hair.
Me too, Manos. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the hair.
Well, you have wonderful hair too. It's just not as discussion worthy right now with the madness that is mine.
See, I keep mine in check because I wear these super ginormous headphones. I always have it like behind me in like a bun or a ponytail or something.
I honestly didn't know exactly how long your hair was. Like, I didn't think you had really long hair, but is it like kind of short?
Like,
or is it
it's
much
like
longer
here.
Oh, is it that far down? Okay.
Yeah.
You always have a ponytail. I couldn't tell.
It's like armpit length. Just long enough to get stuck in my armpits. Fun facts about having long hair. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Everybody right now is talking about sandwiches and trying to decide certain things. They're saying, like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And different sandwiches. And Connor also tells me that my Weird Al cosplay is awesome. And now that someone has said that I have Weird Al cosplay, I really don't want to cut my hair.
The chat is getting crazier and crazier right now.
It's degenerating, and we didn't even start at midnight.
See, but we're not doing much better on our end. We're getting a little crazy over here as well. So
hair. The theme of this evening is hair and hot dogs.
Yeah.
And what a deadly combination.
Cap and Low, thoughts on the recent hair developments pertaining to the Geek Illusion cosmetology universe?
The cosmetology universe. Oh,
that's my favorite universe in the Geekvolution canon.
I should do a Weird Al cosplay. Somebody just said I should do it. Weird Al is one of the things I could probably most pull off. I never thought of that. Oh boy, I should totally do that. No, because there's some really cool costumes. Yeah, geez, I didn't think of that. That's really cool. You could do Dare to Be Stupid, or you could do one of the tacky suits, or like there's a bunch of stuff.
Have I told you about my Weird Al obsession? Have we talked about this?
No, you don't remember the concert last night, right?
He was, yeah, he was like one of my favorite people growing up, and he was like one of my first concerts. And
oh wow, cool!
at the time, I only knew his Star Wars songs because I was quite young, and I cried at the concert because I'd never been to a concert before, and I didn't understand the concept of encores. So
yeah.
The concert ended, so I thought, and my dad looks over, and I'm sobbing because they didn't play the only two songs that I knew. But then they did, of course. Of course, he came back out on stage in like a Jedi robe. And
that's what he did last night. He's got a few different enders. That seems to be the one he does most often. And when I saw him in 2004, that's what he did. He does Saga Begins, and then he does that into Yoda. Mm-hmm. When you saw him, Lo, I'm sure he did the chant in Yoda.
I don't know. I was like 8 years old.
Okay, so you don't remember.
So it was a long time ago.
So he does this amazing nutso chant right in the middle of the last chorus of Yoda, and when he's finally done with it, it stops and it seems like everything's over, and then they just start playing the chorus again, and it opens it opens with this with a scat thing that's like dit dit da not giggity da cuttity da gutta, and it just keeps going, and when I saw him in 2004, it was like a couple minutes long, and when I saw it last night, it just kept going. It was like 4 minutes long, and there was a bunch more of it. And I used to have it all memorized. When I was in high school, some friends of mine and I tried to put together. We had this big spring show for in high school for the music department, and you had to. You had to audition things, and some friends and I in I think junior year put together Yoda, or maybe it was senior year even. I forget. I think it was junior year. We put together Yoda, and we did the chant, and I can't believe we didn't get in with it. I think if it was now, we would have, because the geeky stuff just wasn't as in back then. And maybe I was too close to it, and it wasn't very good, but everybody we did it for said it was really cool. And anyway, so last night they go into that, and I was chanting along with it because I still remembered it from all those years ago. It took so long to memorize it that it just stuck with me, and I knew most of it. And then he starts going into this whole different part of it that was just brand new, and I was like, oh my god, it just keeps going, and there's no memorizing the rest of this because it's insane, and like it sounded really, really hard. But anyway, that was a great show.
My early on, and this just proves how geeky my husband and I are, early on before we were dating, we went on a mission trip to Mexico, and we were in the back of this bus with a bunch of people, and we recited all of Albuquerque, and that was one of the first things that we did together, was just sitting in the back of a bus reciting Albuquerque. And then I knew it was meant to be. That's a lie, but.
And Albuquerque is one of the show enders he does, because it's so long and you need so much energy to get through that. He doesn't like to do anything after it.
Oh yeah, that's a crazy.
What's
Crazy long song.
interesting is that sometimes he'll end with fat, which when you see concert the first time I saw him do that in concert footage, I assumed it was because it takes too long to get in and out of that suit. But both in 04 and last night, he did it early. And his costume change wasn't much longer than it is for any other costume change. And I don't know.
They probably just get better at it over time.
Yeah, but it's got prosthetics. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
When you do close-ups of that suit, it's got the full-on prosthetics and looks exactly like it does in the video. I don't know how he does it.
Oh, wow.
It's
somebody.
It's just a mask, I guess. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, it's got to be something that he pulls over. Nero Cole, just on the topic of music, wants to know what yours and mine are favorite bands.
Yeah, by the way, the show's running a lot later than usual. I'm sorry, I was just having a good time. We can end it anytime.
It's all good. Whatever. People are talking about how they think it's funny.
Well,
we're just talking about nothing.
You super late, 2 hours behind my 11:20.
It's 9:20.
Lo and I do need to go here in a minute, though, because we are going to go record some Power Ranger commentary for you before the show this weekend. So anyway, what was the question? Favorite bands? Go ahead.
Favorite bands. Mine, I have two, and they are very different. They are Styx, because I love classic rock, and they are, for me, the be-all, end-all. Love Styx. And my other favorite band is the Jonas Brothers, because that makes sense. I saw them in concert like 5 times, and I met them on my 18th birthday. But yeah, Styx is my favorite band. Jonas Brothers is a second place.
I just love how sure of yourself you are. You don't even care telling people that. Like that.
I mean, whatever. It's what I like. People like way stupider things.
That's
it's
true.
It's a geeky channel. I should be free to let my geek flag fly, even if it is for a silly boy band that is no longer together.
I'm also a big fan of Styx. I grew up with that. That was a big bonding thing from my mom and I. And I have seen both.
Me and my dad.
Yeah, cool. I've seen both the original band members together without Dennis DeYoung, and I've seen Dennis DeYoung separately.
Same. I've seen Styx in concert a lot. Obviously, never with Dennis DeYoung, but because I'm just way too young for that.
We're too young for that. Yeah, they broke up before I had a chance to see them together. Which is
my dad. I have a band shirt. I've probably worn it on Geekvolution at some point. I have a band shirt of my dad's because he went to one of the Kilroy was here concerts, and they only had like cool. 5 of them. And it's one of my favorite stories that I just used to beg my dad to tell me because that concert sounds like it was just the coolest concert ever. And he gave me the shirt, and I still have it. And I know I've worn it on Geekvolution at some point because it's like my favorite t-shirt ever. Blah, blah, blah.
People have heard me say this before. My top 3 of all time groups and artists thrown together, and of course I have a lot, but my 3 in order from first to third is They Met with Giants, Team EG, REM, and Weird Al.
Oh, love REM.
And if you've never listened to their last album, do it, because it's the best thing they've ever written.
Oh, nice. I don't think I've listened to any of their recent stuff.
Oh, boy. Let me send you the song, because they have there's a song on Uberlin. There's a song on that album that I think is the best song they ever wrote. And the thing is, REM has like 3 or 4 like standard song types that they just kept redoing over and over and over again. Like they're, Everybody Hurts. They wrote Everybody Hurts like 6 times. That song just keeps coming up in different forms. There's kind of a form like that Uberlin became the definitive version of, I think. And God, I can just listen to that song on loop. It's just gorgeous.
Nice.
Mano says he didn't know I liked REM. Yeah, I'm a big fan of REM. I also like bands like Cake.
Love Cake. Cake's great.
Cake's a thing. Like Fish.
Like Fish as well.
I like Fish. I had a chance to see Fish last year and unfortunately didn't get.
Oh, nice.
Have you been to very many concerts? I've done a lot of concerts.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Not in
I wish we lived closer, Lo.
I know.
Like, has it occurred to you just how much you and I actually really have in common?
We've talked about this off the air, but yeah, we're like the same person.
Yep.
And we're like married to the same people too. Like our spouses are so similar. It's crazy.
It's nuts. Like Lo and I are the gender inversion of each other, and our spouses are the gender inversion of each other. It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how we found each other, Lo. I don't know how that happened.
The magic of the internet.
But I found myself in Curious Low form, apparently, somehow. Okay, anything else? Anything else you want to talk about?
I think we've probably covered the gambit of comic and non-comic related news.
That's
so
right.
Just
everything. Once you get the hot dogs in here.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, thanks very much for watching Comic Book Late Night, and we will see you again next. Maybe not. Maybe not. We may see you next week someday. It won't be Monday because I'll be on my way to the airport. But and then Tuesday, I don't know how late I'm at that con, Lo, so we may have to skip next week. I don't know yet.
It's a small week for me, so it wouldn't be
Let's just plan on that then, because I have so much going on next week. Let's plan. Okay. We'll plan to skip Comic Book Late Night next week. Sad, boohoo, everybody cry, tell your friends. And
tell your friends that there's no Comic Book Late Night.
Yeah, so they can cry about it too, because everyone will be sad, of course. You know, make a hashtag sad lack of Comic Book Late Night. And anyway, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple weeks. But we'll see you next week with some other things. Oh, people are asking about Superhero Rewind. I keep plugging away at it the few minutes a day I've had lately. It's just been a busy couple of weeks. So just for life stuff for me, I know I haven't got a lot out on the channel. It's just because it's summer and there's so much going on. So it's my biggest month, my busiest month of the year. So I am about 25-30 minutes into the editing process, meaning that I have put pictures in for that much of the Days of Future Past Rewind. But it is going to ultimately clock in at about probably the length of Man of Steel. So it's going to be another over an hour review. So that's why it's not done yet. I just had a lot to say. There's a lot going on in that. You know, you put 30 characters in an X-Men movie, it's gonna take me a while. And you do the soft reboot thing, and you have a lot of fun, interesting time travel-y things to noodle. Most of that review, I'll tell you guys this: the first half of that review is just me asking questions. it's just how does that work? I mean, it's not a giant problem. It's interesting to talk about. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I spent an entire page just talking about JFK. So, yeah, look forward to that. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm the Curious Low.
Happy reading, folks. We'll see you later.
Stay adorable.